Greetings and salutations, humans. Welcome to the channel. This is your host, PutinBot. And in this video, this will be pretty short. Today, I'm going to be going over my top ride or die champions that I use in Raid Shadow Legends. Now, let me have a little qualifier for this. What do I mean ride or die? Ride or dies for me on my account are champions that I use in multiple areas of the game, not just one. So, for example, if someone's just a top tier arena nuker and that's all I use that champion for, they will not be on this list. These are champions that I use in arena, in Doom Tower, in dungeons. These are champions that I use a lot. And so I hope that this list is useful to you. First on the list, since the thumbnail already spoiled it for us, we will just start off with Yumeko. Yumeko is a Void Legendary Shadowkin, and I use this champion all over the place. She is broken good. Her A1 is Wear Claws. Each hit steals 7.5% of the target's turn meter if this champion has 50% hit points or more. Each hit heals this champion by 30% of the damage inflicted if this champion has less than 50% HP. Damage is based on attack. If you have Yumeko, congratulations, great champion. In my opinion, she's probably the best champion in the game when it comes just to all-around support role. Great champion, absolutely love her. Her A2, Destiny's Mirror, attacks one enemy, has an 80% chance of placing a Hex debuff for 3 turns, books up to 100%, and then her passive, whenever an enemy tries to place debuffs on either this champion or an ally, has a 55% chance, books up to 75, of transferring those debuffs to a random enemy under a Hex debuff placed by this champion. This happens before any debuffs are placed on the initial target, has a 30% chance, books up to 50 instead against bosses. Whenever someone fills a turn meter of an enemy under a Hex debuff placed by this champion's turn meter will be filled instead. Only available if Karato Fox Hunter is on the same team. I do not have a Karato Fox Hunter. I wish I did. I have been after him for basically a year now. Still don't have him, but Destiny's Mirror, great skill. Then Dance of Time. This is what people always just go crazy about with her. It's on a 5-turn cooldown when booked, decreases the cooldown of all ally skills by 3 turns, and increases the cooldowns of all enemy skills by 3 turns. Will not decrease the cooldown of this champion's skills. That said, if you have a Kaimar can reset her and she just do it all over again. Great champion, absolutely love her. Just a great champion. Up on the list is Contra the Cyclone. She is a Force Affinity Barbarian defense-based champion, and she was the first legendary I got in Raid Shadow Legends, and I am still using her pretty much everywhere to this day. Her A1 is called Bane Hatchet, attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 50% chance when booked of stealing 1 random buff from the target. Chaos Tempest attacks all enemies 3 times. Each hit has a 50% chance, books up to 75, of placing one of the following debuffs for 2 turns. Block buffs, decrease attack, decrease speed, weaken, decrease accuracy, or a heal reduction debuff. Keep in mind, each hit can place these debuffs. And Bane Hatchet is Contra's only active skill. Then you go into her passive, No Escape. Decreases each enemy's accuracy by 10 for each debuff they are under. It's like a built-in resist for your team. This champion will receive 4% less damage for each debuff on the attacker. Heals his champion by 1,250 HP each time a debuff expires on an enemy. Has a 75% chance of placing a provoke debuff for 1 turn on enemies under 5 or more debuffs at the start of this champion's turn. This champion can place debuffs on weak hits. And then she has a aura, increase ally accuracy in all battles by 60. Contra is a great champion. Next up on the list And I'm going to surprise some people here. I recently pulled Duchess. Duchess is not on this list. Duchess did not make the cut. Instead, it is Blind Seer, the Dark Elf Void Legendary Champion. She has a fantastic base speed of 115. Her A1, Visions of Death, attacks 3 times at random. Each hit has a 30 books up to 40% chance of decreasing the turn meter by 15%. Happens a lot. Her A2, Dark Shroud, places a block debuffs buff on all allies for 2 turns, then places a shield buff on all allies for equal to 30% of this champion's max HP for 2 turns. It's on a 3-turn cooldown when booked. This shield is huge. You stack your Blind Seer with a lot of health, you give her a lot of defense where she's able to stay alive, she will carry you. Then her A3, Self-Sacrifice, revives all dead allies to 35% HP, places a block damage buff on all allies except this champion for 1 turn. It's on a 5-turn cooldown when booked. Again, just put your Blind Seer and just build her the right way because she's going to be tanking for a bit. You give her high HP, high defense, she will stay alive. Great champion. Absolutely love her. I run Blind Seer everywhere. Then her aura increases allied defense in all battles by 34%. Next up, this is not going to be all legendaries, ladies and gentlemen. Next up on the list is going to be another Dark Elf. We are talking about Dark Kael. Dark Kael is arguably one of the best epic champions in the game, and I have got to agree. He is like I said, he's a Dark Elf. Everyone can get him through Doom Tower or normal, and he is Magic Affinity. His A1, Weaver of Woes, attacks 1 enemy 3 times. Each hit has a 35% chance when booked to instantly activate 2 poison debuffs or 1 poison debuff and 1 HP burn debuff. Damage is based on attack. Then you have his A2, Binding Darkness, attacks all enemies, has a 75% chance, books up to 100, of placing a 50% decreased attack debuff for 2 turns. Each critical hit also has a 100% chance, when booked, of increasing the duration of all debuffs on the target by 1 turn. Again, damage is based on attack. I like to run Dark Kael with Contra. The synergy that those 2 champions have together is absolutely fantastic. Then Dark Kael's A3, Reality Acid, has a 75% chance of placing 3 5% poison debuffs and a 25% poison sensitivity debuff on the target for 2 turns. Books up to 100%. And then we got a passive. Decreases the crit rate of enemies under 2 or more poison debuffs by 15%. If there are multiple champions on the team with this skill, only 1 will activate. Which, that seems kind of weird because you can't get Dark Kael from shards. All you get from Doom Tower normal, but whatever. This is Wuji. Wuji is a lot of fun. She hits freaking hard. She is a Shadowkin. She is an attack-based champion. Look at this aesthetic. I mean, she just looks badass. There's no other way to put it. I mean, look at this weapon, this double-bladed glaive or whatever it is that she has. I don't know what you'd even call that thing. She just looks awesome, and she is a great champion. Dire Twinblade attacks 1 enemy, has a 30% chance, books up to 50%, of placing the big version of Weaken for 2 turns. Will attack all enemies instead of 1 when counterattacking with this skill. World of Darkness attacks all enemies, has a 75% chance of placing a block buffs debuff for 2 turns. Damage is based on attack. This is really, really nice. And what's really fun about this block buffs debuff is a placement. That means affinity does not matter. She's placing the debuff when she attacks. So weak affinity is not a thing with this. Great champion, hits hard, and block buffs is one of the best debuffs in the game. Then her A3, Shinobi Arts. On a 3-turn cooldown, places a perfect veil and a counterattack buff on this champion for 2 turns. And counterattack then triggers her A1, which if you remember, turns in that AoE weaken, which is exactly what you want to have. She hits like a freaking truck. Absolutely love this champion. And we're only going to have 2 more. Again, these are champions that I run pretty much everywhere. These are champions that I run in Doom Tower, in pretty much every part of the game. And I'm going to go with Thylesia. Thylesia is beating out Lydia, ladies and gentlemen. Lydia, the Void Legendary, in my opinion, is inferior to Thylesia because of what they're able to do and the way that I've got my teams built. Thylesia, she's a Force Affinity Knight Revenant, and she is a god tier epic. In my opinion, I drew a lot of flack a little over a year ago now. It's hard to believe it's been that long, where I said Thylesia is the best defense down in Raid Shadow Legends. Well, here we are in January of 2023, and I'm standing by that. Thylesia, in my opinion, is the best defense down in the game. If you don't like it, take it up with management. So let's just kind of go into her kit. Wealth of Madness has a 70% chance when booked of applying a debuff spread effect, taking 1 random debuff from the target and placing it on all enemies under hex debuffs. Again, her damage is based on attack. She's an attack-based champion. She can hit really hard. I don't have mine, though, built to be a nuker. I've got mine built to be a support. Her A2, Shrieking Voices, attacks all enemies. Increases the duration of all debuffs on all enemies by 1 turn. It's on a 3-turn cooldown. Here's where it gets sick. Remember, I said she's the best defense down in the game. Here's why. Melancholia attacks all enemies. Places the big version of defense down for 2 turns. Pair that with her A1. It is up 100% of the time, ladies and gentlemen. And she has 2 AoEs. I run my Thylesia in a stun set. I use her for crowd control. Thylesia was the key for me to finally get through Knight Revenant Faction Wars. Great champion. Fantastic champion. And then let's go into her passive. Beast of Woe. When attacking enemies under decreased defense debuffs, has a 50% chance of placing a hex debuff on them for 2 turns. So if you run someone else that has a hex, so much the better. She can extend the duration of that hex. If she's the only hex champion that you have on your team, that's fine, because she's placing hex using her A3. Great champion. And then you got the debuff spread on the A1. You have the debuff extend on the A2. Absolutely fantastic champion. Love her. Absolutely love Thylesia. I stand by it, ladies and gentlemen. She is the best defense down in the game. So if you don't agree with me, that's perfectly fine. Take it up with management. Then last on the list, last but not least, are going to be 2 champions I like to run together. I'm going to go with Sakara and her sister, Alika. These 2 are busted good. Great champions. I will swap them out, run them interchangeably, or run them together depending on what the content is that I'm working on. Let's go with Sakara first, shall we? Sakara, great base speed, 101. Her A1, follow-up volley, attacks 1 enemy. Fills this champion's turn meter by 25% if this attack is critical. So build your Sakara with 100% crit rate. Come on, she's a support-based champion. Aura Puncture. Attacks 1 enemy 3 times. Each hit has a 40% chance, books up to 50, of removing 1 random buff from the target. That's each hit. So you got a built-in buff removal built in, and this move hits freaking hard. Then you have her A3. Enfeebling Tips attacks all enemies. Has a 80% chance of placing the big version of Weaken for 2 turns. This move also hits like a freaking truck, and it's on a 4-turn cooldown. Then you have her passive, Devoted Sister. Revives this champion with 75 HP when killed, only available when Alika is on the same team and alive. And then we're going to go over to Alika. This champion is my main nuker on my account. I have got Kandrafon. I have got some of the best nukers in the game, and I'm still leaning on Alika. I'm still relying on this epic to bring the pain. If you watch my videos, if you see I'm doing damage tests, whoever it is I'm testing is going against Alika because Alika is that freaking good. She out-damages a lot of legendaries. Great champion. Her A1, Gap Shot. Attacks one enemy. Has a 30% chance of placing an extra hit. This hit is always critical. The second part of that sentence is completely stupid because you're going to be building your Alika with 100% crit rate because she's a freaking cannon. And that is, of course, a 50% chance when booked of just going twice and just knocking the crap out of somebody. Her A2, High Value Target. Attacks one enemy. Will ignore 50% of the target's defense if their max HP is higher than this champion's max HP. That always happens because Alika is an attack-based champion. She hits like a freaking cannon, and this is on a 2-turn cooldown. So you blast some pixel and you put them into the dirt. It's fantastic. Then her A3, Disorient. Attacks one enemy. Has a 100% chance when booked of increasing the cooldowns of all enemy skills by 2 turns. And this is on a 3-turn cooldown. She is fast. She has a base speed of 101. Her attack is disgusting. Absolutely great champion. So you open up with her A3, she hits someone. If she doesn't just kill them, which is unusual, she puts her skills on cooldown, kind of like the way that Yumeko does. So that means all the enemy is able to do is use her A1. Now, if you run her with Yumeko, you just permanently just shut somebody out. It is broken good. It is insanely good. Alika and Sakara are 2 great epic champions. Of the 2 of them, Alika is definitely the harder hitter, but this isn't about damage tests. This is about my ride or dies, the champions that I use the most in Raid Shadow Legends, and there we have it. So just a recap. Yumeko. We have got Contra. We have got Blind Seer. We have got Thylesia. We have got Sakara. And we have got Alika. Y'all, let me know, what champions do you lean on the most in Raid Shadow Legends? What champions do you use in every part of the game? Again, I'm not talking about your specialists. I'm not talking about your arena specialist or your Doom Tower specialist that you just use for now in one aspect of the game. Who do you use pretty much everywhere? But y'all, this is PutinBot. I'm going to head on out. If y'all enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed this content, please consider giving it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel. We would love to have you. And I will see y'all on the next Raid Shadow Legends video. Bye-bye.